Welcome back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your real estate transactions. Today we've been talking with Judge Debra Mayfield. We talked about eminent domain because I think that's going to be a really hot topic with this bullet train coming between Houston and Dallas. So we talked a lot about that, and Judge Debra Mayfield has been in office. She's now up for re-election, and so she's out on the campaign trail, and she stopped by the office today to talk to us about eminent domain, and also want to talk to you a little bit about politics, because you are a very strong woman in politics, and love seeing strong women who are able to work hard every day in their job and be very successful, and then also be in politics while still being a mom and a wife and doing all the other things. I mean, you have so much on your plate. How do you juggle it all?
Well, I think it's like anything else, and that's sort of what I tell the students I mentor. When you have a goal in your life, you look at it and you set your mind to it and you chart a path to get there. And for everyone, that may be a different path. So for those of us who have made the choice to get married and have children, you understand that that's part of the path. It takes part of the things that you deal with or that you have to manage when you also have a career goal. So the way that I do it is I have a great partnership with my husband, who does help me a lot. Whenever I am on the campaign trail, we schedule things and know who has to watch the kids at any certain time. Mm-hmm. And then I also have family members who help me as well. So for those of us who have made the decision that we want to be moms, for example, we have to make that decision at what point in your life that you want to do that so you can reach your career goals as well, and you chart a path to get there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, and it really is important to know where you want to go, and that's one of the things that I really work on a lot with Women's Council, with women in real estate, is know where you want to go, because there are all these organizations that want your help, that want you to volunteer, that want you to give back, that want you have to pick which one is right
Absolutely.
For you and know where you want to go and how you're going to get there.
Absolutely. I think also it's important to knowing when it's okay to say no to someone who's ask you to volunteer your time, because you don't want to be spread too thin. So right. I always tell the students I try to mentor and advise, pick one or two or maybe three organizations you're really passionate about and take leadership in it rather than spreading yourself too thin over several, and you may not have the time to invest in that many organizations, for example.
Yeah. I think that there are two reasons why, the majority of the time, not always, but two reasons why most of the time people excel in their volunteer careers and whatever leadership roles they want to go into. One reason is because you have something they want. So in other words, you're really good at something and the organization needs that, and they see that in you and they pull you in to do that for them because they know they need that. Whether it's you know how to build a website, you know how to go out and recruit members, whatever it is. And then the other thing is someone else sees something in you and wants you to get somewhere in that organization, do something in that organization. They see something in you and want to push you into that position. And to me, those are the two things that really get you where you want to be. So if you're spreading yourself thin, doing all these things, instead you could be really sharpening a skill that makes you attractive to them. Once they see that in you, they're going to pull you in if it's something that can be beneficial to the members.
I agree. Yeah, you want to be effective in those organizations you just really have a strong passion about.
Yeah.
For example, one of the organizations I'm on the board in is Texas Executive Women, and we mentor young women in at-risk schools. Mm-hmm. One of those schools is in the Aldine district where I went. So that organization is particularly meaningful to me because I can go back to Aldine where I grew up and mentor to those young women. And I feel like I have something to offer them because I grew up right there in that neighborhood. And I'm able to go in the school and tell them that I grew up right down the street. And, do they have any questions? And it's a two-way relationship. I learn from them also. Sometimes even more than I could ever hope they can learn from me. So I have picked that organization because that is what I'm passionate about, going back into my old neighborhood and offering to help there. And I feel like I can be most effective because I'm most passionate in that way about that organization rather than picking several.
I'd like that I love how much you give back to the community. I think that's a wonderful thing. I know that you work a lot with young students, and I know that you're also teaching now.
Yes, that is also something I really wanted to do at some point in my career. So, again, I feel very blessed to have had the opportunity to join the U of H Law Center as adjunct faculty teaching private property rights and eminent domain.
Yeah.
So that starts in the fall.
Well, as a judge, you see how the legislator can really change the law, how they can have a huge impact on how you practice law and the decisions that you make. So how do you get other women who are, too busy with their own lives to get involved in politics? How do you express that to them, that it is so important that they know what's going on in Austin? Because it impacts their daily lives. Everything we do is impacted by politics, from our money to our household, things that go on in our household, the things that we buy, everything is impacted by our government. How do you portray that to women who say, well, I don't need to get in politics, I don't have time for that, it doesn't affect me? What do you say to them?
Well, sometimes I think we as women wait to be asked to get involved with things. Mm-hmm. So when I identify someone who I believe would make an excellent candidate for some position in the future, who I think and I recognize may have an interest in politics or an interest in the political process, I approach him or her. At this point, we're talking about recruiting young women. And so I will approach her and I would say, have you ever thought about running for office? Have you ever thought about running for judge? Or have you ever thought about running for city council? Or have you ever thought about volunteering for this congressman or taking a grassroots position in the political party of your choice? Have you ever thought about doing any of those things? Mm-hmm. And then offering my advice and how I did it and say, hey, well, here's how you get involved. You get involved at the grassroots level at your political party of choice. You do your very best in your law practice and also get involved politically, so somehow you can chart a course for your life to someday run to be a judge. So I think that identifying someone with those interests and those potentials, and then just simply approaching them and say, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Mm-hmm. I'd like to help you.
Kind of planting that seed and letting them know you're there to help them.
That's right. Yes. And I think, as with anything in our careers, we all should look for and identify mentors who can help us along the way. Mm-hmm. And those mentors may change throughout your life. I mean, these next 5 years, you may need to be, or you may look for a mentor who can mentor you in certain ways, that the next 5 years of your life, you may need someone different. So I think it's always important to have those people in your life. I have them. One of the former judges I worked for example, or other judges who are at higher courts, I look to and seek advice from all the time. So I think it's always important to have those people in your life. Certainly your mom should always be one of them.
Yes. Keeps you grounded.
And sometimes gives the best advice.
Yes, absolutely.
Most candid, for sure.
Yes, for sure. Well, I think that's great advice. I do think that what we spoke about earlier with eminent domain is very important, because I think we're going to see a lot of topics to deal with that. So I'm glad that you went through that whole process so that people know how to handle that when they are approached with that issue. And I know that you are going to just run a great reelection campaign and get back on the seat again, because you've done such a fantastic job for our community. So I appreciate all that you've done and appreciate you coming in and talking to us today. And, I'm really passionate about women getting out and doing other things outside of their family and outside of their business. I think that giving back is just a way to really fulfill yourself, because we as moms do so much for other people, and being out there helping others, I think, fulfills us in a different way that I think is really nice. So.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly. And Shannon, thank you very much for having me today. I really enjoyed the opportunity to talk to your listeners. I hope they were interested and maybe even learned something about the things we talked about with eminent domain and getting more women involved in politics. I appreciate this opportunity. And if you get a chance, check out my website, debramayfield.com. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve you and your listeners in the Harris County Judiciary. And I respectfully ask for your vote in November for my reelection so I can continue serving you. Thank you very much.
All right, fantastic. DebraMayfield.com. We appreciate you coming on, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors here on Houston Real Estate Radio. If you missed any of today's show, you can catch it online at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com, where we post all the videos, and you can also catch it on iTunes or iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.